flows, Oauth 2 components, Oauth 2 flows, how Oauth 2 scope helps to very specify what resource or action in the client application can access on behalf of the resource owner. And I will show you the demo. And at last, I will give you the benefits of the Oauth 2.0.
And yeah, so yeah, and then at the end there will be one quiz also. So be attentive, and there will be a
Yeah.
chance to win a trivia certification vouchers. Yeah, go ahead. The next slide. And we
Yeah.
are organizers. So myself, Kamraj Prasad. So I am currently working in Tricon Infotech, and I'm also a MuleSoft ambassador and love to share data view concept over the LinkedIn. And if you have any questions, if you want to become a mentor or any guidance needed in the MuleSoft, you can reach out to me anytime. Over to you, Om.
Hi everyone, I'm Om Prakash. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yes.
so once again, thank you
Yeah,
everyone and welcome to the Patna Milsat Meetup. And just I have wrapped up the Motihari Meetup and we are live. This screen is also live on our LED and we are catching from here. I'm one of the coordinator with Amit and Syam. So yeah, we welcome our speaker Rupmita today. Thank you everyone. Yeah, let's continue.
Thank you.
Motihari group is also learning.
Yeah,
Good to
Mohit,
see.
please go ahead.
hey,
Amit,
thank you.
over to you.
Yeah. Hey, good morning, all. Thank you for taking your time on the weekend to attend the session. Please, like my name is Amit, and I'm working in entity data. I'm a certified MuleSoft architect and developer. So, like to share the knowledge of MuleSoft. I request you to engage in the topic, ask questions in the chat, and unmute yourself. Everyone has the unmute option. So, thank you for taking your time. Yeah, I think we can go to the next slide. Yeah.
So let me introduce myself. So I have total 5.5 years experience in IT and MuleSoft. I am working as a senior engineer in NT Data, and I have completed my MuleSoft certification on MCD 1, 2, and the MCPA. So yeah. So let me go to the topic.
Can you
So
go to
in
previous slide? Two slides. Please. Yeah. So this is the safe harbor statement. So both the speaker and host organizing this meetup in individual capacity. So we are not representing or any companies here, and this presentation is only for the learning purpose. So the same solution will work for your business requirement. So organizer and presenter do not hold any responsibility. And this presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Can you go to the next slide? And a recording of this meetup will be uploaded to the event page within 24 hours. And you can ask question anytime into the chat, or maybe you can unmute yourself and you can ask your questions, and this will be make more interactive. And also, like at the end of the session you will get one feedback form. Please fill it up. We will share this feedback form to the speaker also, so that they can improve. Thank you for joining. Go to the next slide. Yeah, now over to you.
so yeah, I have already myself. So go to the next slide, like or 2.0 introduction. So, in today's world where security is the major concern in any application, or 2.0 plays a vital role. So, what or 2.0? So, or 2.0 stands for Open Authorizations, where a third party application can access like users data without sharing the user's credentials. So let's say I'll give you one example. Let's say we have a photo viewer app which want to access Instagram photos, like your Instagram photos. So you don't have to pass your Instagram username password to photo viewer app. What happens like when you log into photo viewer app with Instagram, so photo and then you have to log into Instagram will give you a token to photo viewer app to access the photos. So that's way that's what Auth 2.0, where you don't have to pass your credentials, so you can secure your credentials there. So it allows like a have granted limit, like the resources such as photos, videos, and personal information. So this is the Auth 2.0. And next one is Auth 2.0 components. So say we have a client application. Already I've told you, like there's a like a photo viewer app that wants to access your Instagram photos. So what photo viewer app is, it is called client applications, and it's called as a client. The resource owner, like the end user, like the us, where the Instagram is located, like the user who wants data to client wants to access, like Instagram, and you sorry end user. And the authorization server, the authorization server is the server where the grant access to the photobuyr app. Let's say it's a Instagram only. And the resource server where the Instagram photos is located. So I'll give you one diagram there. So this is your client application, and photo viewer app wants to access Instagram photos. So this is the resource server, okay, where your protected resource is there, the Instagram photos. And when photoware wants to access Instagram, so what happened? You redirect to Instagram and log in to your Instagram account, and then you have to grant permission to photoware app to access your photos. So here Instagram is the authorization server, and the resource owner is you, like a end user. So you can access, or like you can grant access or you decline the access. So this token, like how these flows work, I will tell you. So when these flows happen, like it's not pass the credentials to the photo viewer app. They Instagram will pass one token, a private key. This is short-lived private key to photo viewer app. Okay. So access token, let's say, is a private key, like an access token to access the Instagram photos. The scopes, like they have a scope for the like photo viewer app only edit the photos, not download, like not download the photos or access to other posts to your Instagram. So you can give a permission to your photo viewer app, like there is a scope for that. Like so you have grant permission to the photo viewer app. There is a like a notification, or the in the page you can see there's an option like you have only the read or write access. So that is the scopes. Okay. So anyone have any question, please you can ask me. Everything is fine, then I'll go to the next slide. So or 2.0 has different flows, like we can different service where we can use or 2.0. Based on your requirement you can use your flows. Like first one is authorization code grant. So
Yeah.
let me, yeah, anyone,
No, 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 proceed.
yeah. So authorization code flow, what happened in the authorization code flow? Let's say we have a client application. Okay. The application wants your resource which like located in your like protected resource servers. Okay. So what happened? Client give a request to your resource owner, like a you, and it goes to authorization server. Like let's say photobuyr app, and the authorization server is Instagram. When you log into your Instagram app, it will give you the authorization code to client application. Let's say photobuyr app. Okay, and then this authorization code then again would send to authorization server to face the access token. The first one is authorization code, when client wants to that access, that like log into that authorization server, and then the access token. After the getting the access token from the authorization server, then you can access your the protected resource. Okay, so I'll tell you how this like URL looks like how client resource owner it's going. So so okay, so what happened in the authorization server, like we have a endpoint called authorize. So what happened in the authorize server, you have to pass that code response type, like it is a authorization code, the client id. The client id means the redirect URI is a authorization server URI, and the scope for the read scope or not, and the state of that uh, state of that application. So after when you authorize get the authorization, you will get a query parameter to your client app, like get back to our authorization code. You have to post that authorization code with a slash token authorization URL called like slash token, where you have to pass that code authorization redirect URI, client ID and client secret in the post body. After that, this token and the
Smita,
token
maybe you
type,
can turn
the
off camera.
expiration date.
Your voice
Then
is breaking.
when you get the access token, then you will get like a, for us it is
Peter, can you hear us?
let's say photo view.
Yeah, maybe there is a bandwidth issue. You can stop your net, yeah, video and then try. Yeah, maybe it will give you a better.
Hmm.
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, so let's say it's a photos. Okay, so in the photos we can give that bearer access token, like we have to pass this access token as a bearer, and you can access the photos then Instagram. Okay, this is the authorization code flow. This authorization code flow is required when there is server side application banking portal, where there's a server connection, not okay, like a high security we need in there, like a workflow where we need a high security. Okay, so that's why we need two steps. One is getting the authorization code, and then this token. Then you will get to like face the resource details. Okay, so next one is implicit grant. Okay, so what happened implicit grant? Like the same way when our code flow, this this step will not required for the implicit flow. We can remove this step for the implicit flow. Like we don't need the authorization code there. We directly give like face the access token for the authorization server, because in this flow we don't have any storage like a security store procedure, like we can't store the client's secret. Like in the authorization code flow, what happened the next step, we are provide the client id and client secret, right, for to access the token with the authorization code. But in this step implicit flow, we don't have any storage for store this client security. So it what happened when you call the client from authorization server, you directly get the access token in the URL, like the authorizations. When you hit this one, you'll after that the access token, you will just get the access token there without the access authorization code. So page application like your mobile apps, or your like the example is Gmail, where this is single page application, and where we don't have to require to store any authorization code, like exchange authorization code is there. Close we have to use the implicit flow. Next one is the client credential. So client credential grant. What happened in client credential grant, like let's say the client application we have, and they want to use their application, like there's a no user involved in it, because authorization code flow and implicit flow code flow, there you have to grant permission to your application, like a client application. But in this client credential grant, we don't have to involved in the end user, because the client application already want to utilize another application, like another API. So it is a machine to machine connection, like a server to server communication, where the client is acting on its own behalf. Okay, so how it happens, like the same way, like where there is a client and the authorization server, we have to give the client ID, client secret. So what happened, there's a authorization server and the client. Okay, so first you have to, we have a authorization server, we have to register our client to our authorization server, like we have to register a client with the client ID and client secret, with their API, like a endpoint, like create client endpoint. Okay, after that, what happened, like the client wants the access token, right? So what happened, it will provide the client ID, client ID, client secret, scope, and the grant type. Grant type here is a client credential grant type. Okay, so grant type, scope, uh, yeah. So after that, when it provide the client ID, client scope, grant type, it will authorized server will provide a token there, the access token. Okay, without the refresh token, like only the bearer token. Okay, in that only authorization code flow and yeah, authorization code flow, we have the refresh token, but for that client ID, this client credential flow, we don't have a refresh token. So authorization server will provide the token. With this token, client now access the resource. So here I have a resource. Okay, so it's a machine to machine connection, where we don't have involved the user here. Okay, and the another one is resource owner password credential. Okay, this one is, you normally when we log into anything.
Yeah, I mean, for the previous state, for client ID, the client credentials grant, I mean, when you get the code, how you will be able to get to know which particular resource this code has been generated for?
Okay,
There won't be only one resource, huh? There can be multiple.
this one,
No, no, the previous one which you are showing.
this one.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll show you that there's a in that application we have mentioned, like I'll show you in the mule application, like in a let me show you this one. When we create application, in that application we give a authorization permission, like in the application design only, we have a like in, let's say in our raml. Okay, so we have a scope like Auth 2.0 scope, but like secret by Auth 2.0 scope, and there we have mentioned the scope permission, like a scope for that that URL, like you have give the read permission or the write permission. When design the raml only, you can like mention that. I'll explain that. I will explain that because it is like, it is our main topic, like how you give the permission in this resource actually. Okay, In the next slide, I'll explain how we implement this only, the client credential application. Okay.
Okay. And in one of the approach, you mentioned about state. State equals to capital state. What is the use for that state, and what all values can be?
This state only, right?
Yeah, right.
So normally, I only use the scope, not a state. Like you can have a state only, but normally in like my scenario when I deploy like implement any API, we only need the read write only. So this state is thing I state we don't have to, you don't need this state only in that case. But yeah, if
Yeah, but
I'll
what
let you
is
in.
the state? I mean, scope, just like, sorry,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt.
sorry.
I mean, just like scope. Scope, we know it is a read, write, execute. These can be the scope. But what is state? I mean, I just want to know about the use of this query parameter,
Yeah.
or I
So
mean, what does this mean? This mean itself.
yeah, so I'll get back to you with the answers right now. I don't have that much
Okay.
like I also did not research on only you use scope and the redirect word and client ID, client secret, not the state. If anyone knows, you can like
Okay. Okay.
tell. But I'll it only, okay. I'll get back to you the like how this state works. I'll get back to you in the end, like or we can
Yeah.
connect, or like we can I will give the state only. Okay.
Sure. 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 Okay.
Yeah. So next one is the resource owner password credential. This one is not a like highly secured one. Like when we have the password credential grant, like when you log into your mobile app, username and password. So it's a highly when you trusted the application there. Like you don't have to. It's not for the server side or but where you trust the application there, where just you have to give the user name and password there, and you will face the like access token. Like when you want to check your banking details, like your account details, so you log into your banking app with your login credential, right? And the banking server will give a access token to the application to check the like account details. So this is how the resource password credential grant. Okay. Next one is a refresh token grant. Refresh token grant is involved where like the authorization code flow, where we know like the refresh token is required to access to the access token. Like the first case got the access token, like here we got the access token and the refresh token, like so after some time it access tokens expires. Okay, you don't have to follow the first step, like you have to give the client ID, client secret again, then get the authorization code, and then you have to get the post token. Refresh token will when you authorization server with the refresh token and with the client ID, it will give you the access token. Okay, you do token again with the authorization. This is the refresh token grant. Okay, so our purpose is like how scopes help to prevent access to different resources. Let's say in your application, so this is only based on client credential flow. I'll show you demo on the client credential flow only, where the scopes is prevent access to different resources. Like let's say what you asked, like if there's a two endpoint in your application, so you want to give one client to access to one endpoint and another client to another application, but you have to prevent two client there. Okay, in that scenario we can use the scopes concept there. So in the how mule provide you authorization, like sorry, or 2.0 provider, like MuleServe has auto provider, where you can create your client, you can grant tokens, you can validate token also, register the token during the execution. Okay, so Auth2.0 provider, like we don't have another Auth2 provider, we have only MuleSoft. So we can create application for Auth2 provider, where we can first create our client. Like for the client credential, we have create clients. Then and then then we have to fetch the tokens, okay, and the validate tokens there. So I'll show you how Auth 2.0 works for, let's say we have a client app, okay, and this is a mule application which you want to access, okay, and this is a Auth 2 provider, okay. So what happened? Client wants to access the request access to Mule API. So Mule API first, this client app, let's say Postman wants to access our Mule application. So first we create a client ID, client secret there, client registration. So we have to register our client there. Then we have to generate token based on the client ID secret. Though then we token response. After the tokens, we can, this token is useful to getting the resource server like your Mule application. Okay, so I'll go to the demo then. So first we have to implement our Auth2 API, where we have to create our client, generate tokens and validate tokens. Okay, so let's say first give me new. So we have to create one Auth API, implement all of the uh, scenario where we need the token, in the search in exchange or 2.0. So you have to, we don't have a module for Auth 2.0, we have to fetch from our exchange, and after Auth provider you can see we have create client, delete client and validate client. Okay, so first say we have to create our client there. Okay, so you can see their configuration. In our configuration you can see, so you have to give the listener config. Listener config is same, like no nothing but HTTP listener only, and here you have to mention the endpoint name, the create client, the register client actually. So have to store client. Store is a required where you have to it's an object store where the idea client secret is stored. Okay, so object store. So okay, so I can give it default entity tail or expression interval. Okay, give any value there. If you need if you need any entity tail or expression interval, can give that one. So this is a client store. Another one we need is the token. Okay, so that's why I have to create one more object store there, token store. Okay, to this one we have only client store where we have to store the client, and the supported grant types default is option code, but for our application we need the client credentials only. Scopes. The scopes we can mention here, like we can mention it is the for the vendor 1 v2. Let's say we have given, we have a two in a like one is vendor 1 and a vendor 2. Okay, so we can give an v1. Okay, okay, then token config. This token config is required for access the token. Like first we have to create client, and then we have to access the token, right? So in the create client only, there's a token configuration, and there's an endpoint already. There's a token, and we have to mention tokens stored there. Okay. So now the configuration is done, and the details like how the client is, we can pass through ours only, like headers dot client underscore id, like this. We have to provide our id, and as well as, so here we have to provide our secret. We can give also client name, but it's not url also, like anything like abc or anything you can give here .com. Okay, and the grant types, it should be a client credentials. So you want when you create a client, this client you have to provide the grant type also. In our scenario, it's a scope is not mandatory in the some case, but in our scenario, give the permission to different client. In our case, we have to provide our scopes there also. Like when you raise the client registration is there, so you have to provide this client. So how the client, like same way like client ID or client secret. Okay, so that's how you can configure your give any payload like client register successful. Successfully. Okay, you can create your client. Okay, uh, like validate your client, validate tokens there. So you can validate your, okay, validate tokens. Okay, in a validate token we don't have to mention any like a scope. There's already this access token is there. Attributes dot headers authorization split by the access token, right? Sorry, bearer access token, right? So there's a space between bearer and access token. So you need the only the access token, not the bearer. So that's here like attributes or headers authorization split by this one, and the first one like a our access token there, this one. So in the access token, and then configure that is a delete token. But like a is there, like you can configure delete token and revoke token. But as of now, right, we can our client and validate our client. Okay, we have implemented one flow there. Okay, here where I have just create our client, delete the client. Delete client is same thing, like use a payload the client, and then you can say like client is deleted successfully. You pass this client id in that like a post body, so you can delete the client with the delete component. Okay, so in the you can see that when you get post use the token, when you post get the token, it's a post request. Okay, so it is the post. So after that, when we configure this everything, we have to deploy application to our cloud hub. Okay, already deploy our application, this auth demo POC, and this one. Okay, so this is the URL for the auth demo POC. So where we can create our create our client with this URL, like / create client, and we can validate our client / validate client. Also we can delete the client. Okay, I'll show you how this URL works. So let me go to the next one. Like after you deploying your auth service to our cloud hub, next one is like in your main resource, like in your main resource, like in your application, the where the business logic is there, you have to provide the auth to like security schemes, right? Otherwise it won't allow the authentication. So what happened, I have created one api, like a bookstore api. Okay, so here I have give the security scheme or 2.0. Okay. Here I mentioned like this is security scheme we need in our bookstore API. And here we have two API like endpoint. One is authors and one is books. Okay. So we can give the secured by like it is the auth 2.0, and here's the scope. Like we can give permission to our one client. Let's say I have one vendor named 10 Pearls, and he need access to authors but not to the books. Okay, so I can provide the scopes there. It is the 10 Pearls, like it accept 10 Pearls scope. Okay, and the books like another endpoint is books, where we mention scope of the red eye. Okay, so what happened, like Tensper only access the authors in the bookstore app, not the books. Also the book, like the radii only access to books, not the authors. Okay, after design I just deploy to this cloud hub, and let me show you. After that we have to like give a policy to this bookstore app. Like we can in the design only we have provide this, it is secured by auth 2.0, so it should accept the be like access token, but we have to provide the policy there. So what happened after deploying to our cloud hub, and then I have to give the policy here. Okay, so here I have mentioned like add policy. So you can provide your policy there. So you can mention here like it is a what scope you want to give. So let's say I want to configure this auth 2.0 scope, like auth 2.0 policy for our books endpoint. Okay, so I have to give the vendor name, that is the 10 pulse, and the validate token. The validate token, what happened, like the we have already deployed our auth provider application, right? And we have an endpoint called validate token. We have to give the validate token, because when you give the access token where to this resource like / books, you have to pass the access token like bearer token, like it should validate in the backend. So the validate endpoint you have to give. So what happened, when you give this validate token, it will go to the auth provider, check the token is validate or not. Okay, So like its token have the right permission or not, like this 10 pulse should be there on the client and the client say valid or not. Advanced option, in the advanced option we have to give the specific method, like it's not for all the method, right? We have created books, authors, and inside also authors books have a gate post also. So we have give the gate, and we have to give the it matches to this one. Okay, so this endpoint should match, otherwise it won't like applicable. So you have created, okay, so I've already created because my trial account is gone. Okay, let me show you. So I've created the scope radii, the validate token. In the advanced option we are given methods like a get method, books, okay, and then this is for books endpoint. Okay, let's say we have another endpoint, like for us it is authors, so we have to configure auth policy there also, and I have to mention that the scopes for that one, the validate token, and the method, like which are the method. If it's a gate post also you can method there also. In the where rejects complex also you can pass this one. So each vendor we can, with each client or each vendor we can mention the which of the URL is permissible for that client. Okay, after that what happened in that, if after given the policy and I've already deployed the application, let me open the runtime manager. So in the runtime manager already I have deployed the application, and in the API manager already I have provided the policy there, like Auth 2 provider policy. Okay, after that we have to, like in the exchange we have to request the access to the application, right? So so this is my bookstore API. Okay, so you have to request access and you have to create client. Already I have deployed like a this one, the application, and we have already a redeye application, so you can request the access, like it's the application name, you can give anything the name. Okay, so I have created two application for two like a client, like my client, like you can see, like it's a redeye 10 pulse. So we can see the client ID for this one, because I name it as a client name because it will be like useful for me to check the which client is want to access API. So I given two radii application radii and 10 pulse. Okay, and okay. So after getting the client and client secret from the exchange, now how we like create our client, register like getting the access token. Okay, let's say I'll show you. So I have client ID and client secret there. So I copy this one. Okay, I have to give the client. So this is the, okay, let me show you. So this is the URL where you have to create your client. Like already I have deployed application, right? And we got the like a host and the host name there, like a or demo POC, this one. And we have a endpoint name. You can see here we have a endpoint name here, the create client. Okay, so in the create client we have mentioned we need the client ID, client, that scopes, and the client credential. Okay, yeah, so we have to give provide the all the things like the client ID, client secret, and 10 pulse. Okay, client name. So we have to provide all the details. So when you create your client, it says client created successfully, but now on the access token. Okay, so for the access, what is the endpoint name? It's a token endpoint, right? So in the token endpoint you have to provide the client ID, client secret and the scope and the grant type. Also, same thing we have to provide for the token class. So provide the scope, client and secret grant type, and you will get a access token, and it says 10 pulse. Okay, so now we copy that this token, and now I want to access the bookstore with this one. Okay, so you can see this scopes are not authorized, means the books don't have the scopes for the 10 pulse. It for the author, it is for books, it should be a 10 pulse. Sorry, it should be a red eye. And for the, so when we access to other endpoint, let me check. Okay, okay, let me create it there. That's okay. So let me go to that one. Okay, it is showing the invalid one. So 934. Yeah, so it is about 10 pulse is there. So let me show you the 10 pulse. So it is a 10 pulse is there. Yeah, so we got the access token, the 10 pulse is there. And now that should not get connections. That is the client scope is 10 pulse. Let me create one more vendor. Create client successfully. Now we want to provide that, give you that token. Okay, so to be authors. The authors of the book. Okay, so you can see when we call the 10 pulse with the like the authors, we can have that we can say the authors of the book we can display, because in the authors design center, go to the design center, we have mentioned here also the authors should have 10 pulse. Also in that like a main API manager there, we have mentioned, we have mentioned it should access the 10 pulse only, like the scope is valid for the 10 pulse. Okay, sorry, the URL should be valid for the 10 pulse. Okay, so we can have only we can like access the author's endpoint with the token, but we when we want to access this client with this one, we'll get the required scopes are not authorized, so we can't access with the scope. It means this client is not accessible to that like a books endpoint. Okay, yeah. So you can this like a implementation need when your client or your application needs like a same application, but you want to give permission to different like a vendor or client. Okay, so yeah. I've- so anyone has any question, you can ask me, and like I'll show you if in the demo or implementation you can.
So
So
there was
Rupita, yeah. Yes, Sam, go ahead.
what is the difference between JWT token and bearer token?
AWT token and
Bearer token.
bearer token. Okay, so in the JWT token it's a different like a purpose where like we can implement that or 2.0 with the bearer like a JWT token. Okay, but it is only the inbuilt one, like you can see here we can have a token endpoint there. Okay, but you can configure this with the JWT already. This and all like so where so in this scenario we don't need the JWT token, but uh, yeah, some cases we need the or 2.0 with the JWT, where like we can give a more security in there. Like in the some scenario we need that JWT one. Okay, yeah, Amit, you are saying something.
No, that was a question. And the other question, what are the different types of steps we have taken? So anyone, any other question?
Feel free to ask. If you have any further question, you can reach out to Rukmita and she can answer later also over LinkedIn. And it was a great session, Rukmita.
Question, I'll
Okay.
let me check this
Have you covered
chat.
everything which you want to cover?
Slide
Yeah, we
recording.
have seen the
Yeah,
stat. There is no. You're covered from your side, Rupmita. You everything
no, I have a only one slide left. That is the benefits of the OR 2.0 scope.
theoretically. Okay, fine. Yeah, you can complete. Then we can start with the trivia quiz. Yeah.
Okay. So the benefits of OR 2.0 is like that is enhance the security. Okay. So you don't instead of the password, you can use the tokens to fetch the resource data, and also like it is easy to use. You don't have to like you just give the access token there and you can access the resource server. Okay, and also it is a like it can implement in different scenario, like already I told you, like it's a server to server correlation or your mobile application, and anyway we can use or 2.0. Okay, like like a Google, Facebook, they are like a many services where this or 2.0 we used actually. Yeah.
Okay. If there is no question, then I can stop the recording and then we can go for the trivia quiz.